Hey, so I had one of my first jobs with my guy on site, and it was a friend of mine in Los Angeles. His cousin was renovating a 1920s bungalow in Seattle, and he was having, a really hard time with the contractor regarding some portion of the work. So I was able to, reach out to him and talk to him. Basically, he had started a kind of complete renovation of this house, and it started off as an interior remodel that then sort of extended into various other scopes of work. The one that he was having a hard time with was siding and windows. So he had received a proposal from the contractor to reside the house and to replace the original windows. So when they did their, and I will say that the contract, while it was talking about an outside scope, the contractor's already inside as well. So it's like he's doing work on the inside, remodeling, and then he's also adding to that scope by doing the exterior trim and the windows. Anyway, when the windows came in, they were replacement windows, which means that they are, around, the wall is probably about 6 inches thick with the, siding and the interior plaster. And then the replacement windows are about 3 inches thick. They go just in from the outside, tack on to the siding or the substrate underneath the siding. And then there's a gap in between where the window tacks in and the existing original trim. You can do windows in different ways. You can do a kind of replacement window, which is what this is, or you can do a new build window, which would include the side sashes and the trim. But this was a replacement window. Now, from what this guy told me, there wasn't a lot of discussion about what kind of windows they were going to use or what style of windows they were going to be. Basically, it just was a window package. So when the window was installed, there was this gap. And this gap is very typical when you're doing windows, especially in an old house, because you want to leave the character of the house and the interior trim. You don't usually want to demo that. You want to, for one, it's a lot of work, and also it's like, it usually adds a lot of character. So you would use these replacement windows, and then there would be a gap, and then that gap would be left to a finish carpenter. And, it's a little bit of a difficult transition to make because you're going from something which is new, which is perfectly square, into the trim and the existing framing, which oftentimes is not. So that transition piece bridges not only sort of like historically the different materials, but also it goes from new square to not so square, and so usually it's a lot of fussy cutting, and then also it has to be done in such a way where it looks intentional, and the detail has to be sort of considered. In any case, the windows were installed, and the contractor was just like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do here," as if he didn't know that there was going to be this gap here. I mean, the window installer knew there was going to be a gap, and the contractor knew there was going to be a gap. The only person who didn't know there was going to be a gap was the client. And it shouldn't have been a change order. It should have been completely included in the proposal, completely, the contractor knew it was going to happen. But anyway, they played it off like a change order. And, it's not an insignificant change order because it's basically a finished carpenter going in there for 2 weeks, putting in these sort of fussy details in every window in the house. So this is something that would have been typically caught in the bid and the proposal and in the scope of work had I had a chance to review that prior to it going out to pricing. But unfortunately, in this case, the contractor was presenting it that way, and once you're in the project, there's really nothing you can do. You don't have documentation saying that it was in the scope, and he's saying it was an exterior scope, even though he was doing exterior and interior work. And, at that point, you kind of don't, as a client, you don't know what to do. And, he's got other jobs and other money involved in the project. And so you're kind of like, it's not nice of the contractor. It's definitely manipulative. It's definitely not transparent, and it just sort of breeds bad blood on the job.